But then they went to Ai, and compared to the Goliath of Jericho, Ai was nothing. And the men that came back and spied out the land said, "This is a cakewalk. It's easy. We don't even have to send that many people. It's going to be hands down the easiest thing," but they got defeated. And it was horrible. Joshua was dismayed at the news of being defeated, and he cried out to the Lord, and he received a very simple answer. There is sin in the camp, right? That's what took them out. Someone had taken of the devoted things of the Lord and hidden them away, concealed them in the tent, and Achan was aching that day. He died for his transgressions. What did his name mean? Pop quiz. Trouble, right? And they stoned him in the valley of Achor, and Achor meant also trouble, right? Because defeat is assured in the flesh. That's what we talked about last week. And that brings us to Joshua chapter 8, our text for tonight. This is another unfortunate chapter break, you guys. We again have not taken a break in the narrative. So chapter 8 is very much connected to chapter 7. So if you would look back one verse into chapter 7, let's get our context and the flow of what we're talking about tonight. So it says, chapter 7, verse 26, "So they raised over him," that is Achan, "a great heap of stones that remains to this day. Then the Lord turned from his burning anger. Therefore, to this day, the name of the place is called" what? "And the Lord said to Joshua." Pause. Okay, so at the end of chapter 7, we saw that the sin was dealt with, and sin was atoned by the shedding of blood. So what does that do to the nation? What it does to the nation is it restores back to them the covenant. They're back under covenant with the Lord once more. It puts them back on track. Now the Lord's presence and favor is back with Joshua and the army because they have realigned themselves with the Spirit. Remember, the Lord had told them in Ai, "I am not doing this with you. You are out of bounds, you are in the flesh," and that's why they got defeated. But now that that has all been taken care of, everybody is back on track. They're back in the Spirit. They're realigned with the Lord. And that's when the Lord said in verse 1, "Do not fear, Joshua. Do not be dismayed. Take all the fighting men with you and arise, go up to Ai. See, I have given into your hand the king of Ai and his people, his city, and his land." Okay, stop. Verse 1 is packed. We're going to have to hang out for a minute. There is a lot happening in this verse. So the Lord taps Joshua on the shoulder. Question: what was the first thing the Lord says to Joshua? Do not fear. You're going to pull out a theme in a minute, so hold on to these. Do not fear. Question: how many soldiers did the Lord tell Joshua to send? All of them. All the fighting men. All were to participate. That is the Lord's plan at every battle in the promised land, is that everybody goes. Question: how many did they send into Ai in chapter 7? 3,000, right? That's not all. That's barely any. Okay, so the Lord said the strategy is to send all. Okay, arise, go up to where? Ai. Yep, you're going back. Back to the place of your defeat, Joshua. You're going back. Now, consider the differences in the battle plans the Lord has drawn up for Ai compared to the first attempt of Ai and with Jericho. The Lord says, "See, I have given into your hand the king of Ai. Question, what tense is that? Past tense. Here's the repetition that happens over and over with all of the battles in the promised land. First, the Lord says, do not fear or do not be afraid. Number 2, he says, take all your men. Number 3, I have given. You're going to see this pattern all the way through. Don't fear. Take everyone with you. I have already given the land. It's a repetition through the book of Joshua. It's the cadence of the conquest. And it's awesome. So this is a complete reset for Ai. Like, it's a reset of their stupidity and their sin and their recklessness and all the devastation of chapter 7, which was very devastating. This is a reset like it never happened. The Lord is giving them a complete do-over by resetting Joshua the same way he reset Joshua for Jericho. Don't fear. Take everybody. I have given. He's given the same thing to Joshua here in chapter 8, and it's awesome. I have given. Past tense. This time on the same ground that they were just defeated in, with the same enemy that had just pummeled them, this time they will win. They're going to win. Why? Here's the easy math. Ready? Here's the easy math. It's the math of the Spirit-filled life. Ai, the first time, chapter 7, defeat is assured in the flesh. Every time. When you're in the flesh equals the Lord is not with you. If the Lord is not with you equals the enemy wins. Right? Well, now they're back at Ai and it's a total reset. This time, victory is assured in the Spirit. When you are in the Spirit, the Lord is with you. If the Lord is with you, you win. Ta-da! Yay. That's the math. That's what they're learning. They're learning this. So this is verse 1, and verse 1 is very important because it is basically repenting them of everything that happened to Ai. They are essentially being justified from all the crud that they did in chapter 7, and the Lord completely resets Joshua and doesn't even mention that they got pummeled there. He doesn't even say it. And it's absolutely beautiful. It says, this is the Lord still speaking, and you shall do to Ai and its king as you did to Jericho and its king. Only, check it out, its spoil and its livestock you shall take as plunder for yourselves. Lay in ambush against the city behind it. Okay, this is another verse where you have to take it phrase by phrase because there's tons in it. So don't read too fast on this stuff. It's awesome. There are treasures to dig up in the word in every single verse, and every single verse is your favorite, I know. Now, check it out. Verse 2, look at the first sentence. What does it say? You shall do to Ai and its king as you did to Jericho and its king, right? What does that mean for Ai? They're toasted. Bye. They are going down, just like Jericho, right? They might have got a lick in the first time, but they are going down. Okay, now check out the second phrase. Only its spoil and its livestock you what? You shall take as plunder for yourselves. Pause. Whoa, this should like ring a whole bunch of bells because this is entirely different than the rules in Jericho, right? Because in Jericho, they were not to take the spoil. Why not? First fruits, right? Jericho was a tithe of the land to the Lord. Everything was devoted. It was either devoted to the Lord for the treasury or to the fire, right? But everything was devoted. Question, the rule this time is what can they do with the spoil? Take it, cha-ching. They can take it for themselves. They can clean it out. Question, think about this. Note, imagine if Achan would have waited a minute. He could have raided all the AI closets he wanted to and taken whatever jackets he wanted to, and it would have been okay, right? From now on, for the rest of the conquest, everything that's spoil, they can take. It is now theirs. The first one was tithe. Everything else, Israel can take. Okay, the next sentence in this verse is to lay an ambush against the city behind it, right? Pause. Whoa, this is different. This is wildly different. Remember, the only battle they've had so far is Jericho, right? And then Ai, which we're going to pretend like didn't happen because we're going to redo it. So Jericho. So question, what was the battle strategy of Jericho? The battle strategy was take a lap, take a nap. Remember? For 6 days, take a lap, take a nap, and then on the 7th day, you're going to lap more times than that. You're going to blow a trumpet and shout. And that's about it. That was the battle strategy, which isn't really much of a strategy as far as Israel goes. The battle was the Lord's 100%. Not this time. This time, they were to seize the city by surprise. You guys, the war room blueprints the Lord has for AI are like the coolest. It's like a real war. It's so cool. It's wildly different than both the Battle of Jericho and the full frontal attack that Israel tried to do on Ai in the last chapter. It's neither of those things, and that got them wiped out. But the commander-in-chief had a war plan for Ai all along. A very intricate, very detailed one. It was already drawn out. Joshua didn't bother to get debriefed to get the blueprint, but the blueprint was there. And guess what? He is all ears now. Joshua has got his ear duct taped to the Lord's chest. He is listening to the heartbeat of this commander-in-chief, okay? So that's what's going on. Look at verse 3. So Joshua and all the fighting men, how many? Yep, they arose and went up to Ai. Now, Joshua chose 30,000 mighty men of valor and sent them out. Okay, behold, you shall lie in ambush against the city behind it. Don't go very far from the city, but all of you remain ready. And I and all the people who are with me will approach the city. And when they come out against us, just as before, we shall flee from them. And they will come out after us until we have drawn them away from the city. For they will say, look, they're running away. They're fleeing just like before. Ha, they're scared of us, they said. So we will flee before them. We'll run away. Then, verse 7, you shall rise up from the ambush and seize the city, for the Lord your God will give it into your hand. And, check it out, as soon as you have taken the city, you're going to set the city on fire. You shall do according to the word of the Lord. See, I have commanded you. Okay, what's going on? Well, I am going to show you. I spent a lot of time on this, you guys. Okay, check it out. Now, I'm going to help you guys out, you guys. This is like the corniest thing. I do not care. Okay, verse 3. Joshua and all the fighting men arose, right? Okay, so they rose up and they go to Ai. So see right here, can you guys see my pointer? Okay, so right here is the entire army. That would be the 600,000 men, right? All the fighting men go. So they all leave Gilgal and they come to Ai, everybody, okay? Then Joshua, it says, chose 30,000 of those guys to lay in ambush behind the city, right? They were going to send them out by night. So up here behind the city is where the 30,000 are going to hang out in ambush, okay? Look at verse 4. It says in verse 4, he commanded, behold, you shall lie in ambush against the city behind it. Do not go very far from the city, but all of you remain ready. Okay, so Joshua sends them out. So check this out. Joshua sends them out and they went to the place of ambush, that lay between Bethel, which means what? House of God, and Ai, which means yes, heap of ruin. Ai means heap of ruin. That's right. Okay. But Joshua did what? What did Joshua do in verse 9? What did he do?
He spent the night with his people.
He spent the night among the people. Okay, so here's Joshua. So Joshua is with the main army. He spends the night with the people. So 30,000 of them are up above the city in ambush. Joshua spends the night among the people. Notice there's no reconnaissance. There's no spies. This is an ambush instead of open marching, right? All 600,000 went, but 30,000 are going to lay in ambush, and there's going to be another group as well, okay? Though they had the general command, you guys, to go and take the land, they were still required to seek the general for his command. They had the command to go take the land, but that doesn't mean you're not checking in with your commander in chief. Joshua is learning this. This is a hard lesson for him, okay? So the battle plan, this battle plan was the way the Lord had designed to take Ai. It's completely different. Joshua would not have come up with this by himself. So Joshua was defeated doing it his own way, and the Lord said, check it out, I have a cooler way. And this is it. Okay, verse 9, one more time, says that Joshua spent the night where? Among the people. Okay, Bible students, if you can still see your paper because it looks dark now, check this out. There's going to be 3 highlights where the text pulls Joshua out by himself, and they're very important. Okay, this is one of them. So, where did Joshua sleep? In verse 9? Among the people, right? Okay, verse 9 is that Joshua is among the people. That's the first pullout that the text gives us. Okay, look at verse 10. We're going to keep going. So Joshua rose early in the morning and mustered the people and went up, he and the elders of Israel, before the people of Ai. And all the fighting men, how many? Okay, that would be all minus the 30,000 that are laying in ambush right now. Okay, all of them who were with him went up and drew near before the city and encamped on the north side of Ai with a ravine between them. Okay, but he took 5,000 men out of his group, his large army. He takes 5,000 Navy SEALs. Okay, and set them in ambush between Bethel and Ai on the west side of the city. So the 30,000 are above the city. The 5,000 are going to be on the west of the city. Let me just show you. Check it out. Okay. So Joshua and the main army, they go up into this place kind of north of the city in a wide open plain, and that's where the main army is going to like bring the attention of Ai and say, hey, we're back, right? Like this massive army out in the middle, okay? Here's the battle plan. Out of that group, 5,000 Navy SEALs are set in ambush to the west of the city. Okay, you guys see this? There's a group on top, there's the Navy SEALs and the main army. Now they're 3 units, okay? And that is rad. Okay, so you have 30,000, you have 5,000, you have the whole army, everybody else. The large army is a decoy. It's a decoy that's going to draw Ai out of the city, right? We kind of saw a sneak peek of when the Lord's telling Joshua the battle plans, and we're going to see it happen, but they're going to draw everybody out of the city. Then the 30,000 are going to sneak into the empty city that just got emptied out. They're going to take the spoil and burn it to the ground. Okay? The 5,000 are essentially security. They are there to block any escape route of anybody who thinks they're going to get away. They're not, because they're in the way. Okay? This is a brilliant plan. Look at verse 13. Check it out, verse 13. So they stationed the forces, the main encampment to the north, right? You've got the rear guard to the west. But Joshua did what? Spent the night in the valley. So Joshua now separates from the main army, and he is now sleeping between his 3 units. Okay? And he's there all by himself. Joshua spent the night in the valley. This is another marker of the Lord pulling Joshua out of the text all by himself. Okay, so it's important. So Joshua spends the night in the valley alone between the people and the enemy. Ha! Why? Probably a lot of reasons. My guess is that he is praying. He is making sure that he is doing everything to the commander-in-chief's command, that everything is exactly how the Lord wanted. And I imagine he is interceding for his army that is disillusioned and hurt and defeated, right? They're going right back to the place where their friends just died. So he's interceding for his army. There's a lot of things going on. Okay, look at verse 14. Check it out. Verse 14. As soon as the king of Ai saw, he and all his people, the men of the city, hurried and went out to the appointed place toward the Arabah to meet Israel in battle. That would be where that main army is out in that big open space. They see them and they go for them, okay, out there in the open space. But he didn't know that there was an ambush against him behind the city. Gasp! And Joshua and all Israel pretended to be beaten. I love this. Isn't this awesome? He pretended to be beaten before them and fled in the direction of the wilderness. Okay, so that's what's going on. Okay, check it out. Zooming in, check it out. The next morning, the Ai soldiers and Bethel, they're next door neighbors. Okay, it'd be like Medford and Central Point. If Medford's getting attacked, Central Point comes to help, because if Medford goes down, they go down, right? So might as well help out. So it ends up being that they get a 2-for-1 with Bethel and Ai in this battle. Okay, they head out to the flat ground, the battleground. They head out. Joshua, when Joshua knew that the cities were emptied, he goes, oh no, retreat, right? He's playing a game. Retreat, he says. He and the army start running back towards the wilderness where they had retreated before. So Bethel and Ai follow them, chase them out into the wilderness, and now guess what? The cities are empty, right? So look at verse 18. Check this out. The Lord said to Joshua, stretch out the javelin that is in your hand toward Ai, for I will give it into your hand. And Joshua stretched out the javelin that was in his hand toward the city. Okay, check it out. In the heat of battle, I know this is a banner and not a javelin, but I thought it was a cool picture, so just go with it. In the heat of battle, while the enemy is hot and fierce, the Lord says, hold up your javelin. What does that remind you of? Have we seen this before? Moses, right? He was up on the mountain holding up the javelin while Joshua was fighting in the valley. Remember, we talked about that on the first day. Up here, the javelin. And so the Lord's like, guess what? You are now the javelin holder. And he has Joshua stand there with the javelin up in the air. Okay? So with the general of the army lifting up the javelin in the middle, this is a signal to the ambush teams to make their move. Okay? So the 5,000 move to block the escape route. Okay? And the 30,000 take the city. Okay? And they spoil the city and they burn it to the ground. Ha! Yep. Meanwhile, the enemy who was chasing Israel out to the wilderness, right? They are like, I smell smoke. And they turn around and look and, oh, their cities are on fire, right? And so what happens? What do? They come back, okay? They come back because their cities are on fire. And guess who chases them? 500,000 Israeli soldiers. Okay, now see how much trouble they're in right now? They're stuck. They are 100% stuck. They have nowhere to go. They're stuck between 3 units of army. The Navy SEALs, the ambush team, and 500,000 soldiers. They ain't going nowhere. Okay, so they struck down the enemy until they were dead. And 12,000 fell that day. Okay, that was the Lord's battle strategy. That's rad, you guys. Okay, third highlight of Joshua. Where was Joshua this time? What is he doing? He's holding the javelin, right? Look at verse 26. It says that Joshua did not draw back his hand with which he stretched out the javelin until he had devoted the inhabitants of Ai to destruction. He stands there with the javelin up in the air the entire time. Okay? So Joshua remained until it was finished. That's your third one. See these but Joshuas? But Joshua was among the people. But Joshua was in the valley. But Joshua remained until it was finished. So cool. Look at verse 27. Check this out. Only the livestock and the spoil of that Israel took as their plunder according to the word of the Lord that he commanded Joshua. And Joshua burned Ai and made it forever a heap of ruins, as it is to this day. That's a play on words because Ai means heap of ruins. That's right. So he hanged the king of Ai on a tree until evening, and at sunset Joshua commanded, and they took his body down from the tree and threw it at the entrance of the gate of the city, and raised over it a great heap of stones, which stands to this day. So the king of Ai was under the stones, right? Under the stones. I was thinking about this because in chapter 7, verse 26, there was another heap of stones. Right? Because Achan got stoned. So there was a memorial of defeat in chapter 7, but there's a memorial of victory in chapter 8. And I think that's just so beautiful, the way that the Lord does that. Our battles are the same as this, you guys. Ai can either be a memorial of defeat or a memorial of victory. The difference is spirit or flesh. That's the difference. Same ground, same choice. So after victory, Joshua builds an altar to the Lord on Mount Ebal, just as Moses had commanded. This is something they were told to do in Deuteronomy chapter 27. And they offered burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, and Joshua wrote a copy of the law and read it aloud in the hearing of everybody. What a beautiful worship service. They stopped everything to do this, and it's awesome. So all of Israel gathers, the men, the women, the children, everybody, the sojourners, and stood between Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal. Half faced the mountain and half faced the other mountain, and that's where they would recite back and forth the blessings and the curses. Okay, and every word of the law was read by Joshua that day. The entire nation reheard the retelling of the law. It was an act of obedience. Again, you'll find it in Deuteronomy 27. The Lord told them to do this. So Joshua is being obedient, and it's the first sacrifice in the promised land. This was a recommitment of what happened to Joshua, what was told to Joshua in chapter 1, verse 8. That this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, Joshua, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will have good success. Joshua goes back to the beginning, and he remembered what the Lord told them to do in the promised land, and he is doing it. It's a meditate and a do and an obedience, and he's following through because he wants good success. Spirit, not flesh. Like I said last week, Ai is the only defeat of this nature in the promised land. They learned the lesson, and I love that. It's an epic story. It really is. Chapter 8 is so cool, and it's a beautiful picture of the gospel. That's right, because the Bible is about Jesus, and Joshua is a type of Jesus, okay? And it's Jesus on every page, in every verse. So where's the gospel in this chapter? Everywhere, every single word. But let me show you what I saw, and I bet you guys pulled out more. But here's the first thing that I saw. Joshua was sent to the place of ruin. Right? That's what Ai was called, a heap of ruin. Joshua was sent to that place. The Lord said to Joshua, do not fear. You're going back to Ai, and I'm going to give it to you. This is going to be a victory this time. It was the place of Israel's shame and defeat and exposure from Joshua chapter 7. And so God sends Joshua back to where? Ai. Israel, he said in chapter 7, you cannot stand before your enemies. You are defeated because there is sin in your camp. And because there is sin in your camp, the covenant is broken, and I am not with you. And you remain in your defeated state until it gets fixed. So what happens? The Lord sends Joshua to the heap of ruin. Ha! It's so cool. Joshua is sent to the place where sin and shame had shackled them down. Joshua is there, our greater than Joshua, of course. Jesus Christ came into our Ai, our heap of ruin, our personal heap of ruin, the world, humanity state of a heap of ruin, sent into the same place where sin had shackled us down, where we were defeated, doomed, done, because there's sin in the camp and we have no means in ourselves to fix it. It just is the state. Romans chapter 5 verse 6 says this, while we were still sinners, Christ died for the ungodly while we were still in our sin. While we were still doing the heap of ruin thing, Joshua came down into our heap of ruin to rescue us. Joshua was sent to that place of failure to establish victory in the place of failure. It's the pattern of redemption. Aren't you glad? Yeah. In the beginning, you guys, in the garden, sin broke everything. It broke the world. On page 2. Ha! So the Lord promised a deliverer. It's chapter 3, verse 15, right? The first mention of the gospel. That the seed of the woman would crush the head of the serpent. He would get a couple licks in, but the seed would be the deliverer, would be the savior, would be the redeemer. 1 John 3:8 says this. Check this out. Write this down. 1 John 3:8. The reason the Son of God appeared was to destroy the works of the devil. That's clear. Papa John gives it to us. Listen, the reason why Jesus came was to destroy the works of the devil, to come into our heap of ruin and fix it and bring victory. You see, we are powerless, but he entered. We were defeated, but he was commissioned and he came in, and the Lord's like, Joshua, you're going in. You're the only one that can deliver them. And I love that. Jesus was sent to reclaim the ruined places. So, the first highlighted marker of Joshua in this text was what again? It's in verse 9. What was it? Yes, number 1 was that he dwelt among the people, right? He dwelt among the people. He didn't command them ahead. He didn't stay behind in safety. He wasn't the kind of king that gave orders but like hid behind a rock. He was out there. He was among the people. He's boots on the ground with the army. I love this. It's like our greater than Joshua, Emmanuel, God with us. With us. Among the people. Ha! Though he was in the form of God, he emptied himself, being born in the likeness of men. Philippians chapter 2, right? He came down here in our dirt. And Hebrews says, chapter 4, verse 15, we do not have a high priest that cannot sympathize with our weaknesses. He is among the people. Jesus was sent to the heap of ruins. And he came all the way down and put his feet in our dirt to be among his people. Before deliverance came, the deliverer was present there with us. I love that. No matter what may come tomorrow, you guys, Jesus is in the camp with you right now. In the camp. He's with you. Listen, it was the night before that he was among the people. He hung out with them. I'm sure he prayed with them. He encouraged them. All kinds of stuff was going on. Joshua, while his ambushes were out there, he stayed with the most vulnerable of his army. And I absolutely love that. He is Emmanuel, God with us. Okay, the next marker of Joshua was what? In the valley, right? Joshua spent the night in the valley between the house of God and the heap of ruin. Between his house and our house. You know what I mean? Now, in 1 Samuel chapter 17, I was going to have you turn there, but just write this down. You guys know this story very well. It's David and Goliath, but there's a word, a Hebrew word that is used one time And it's in that chapter, in the entire Bible. And it's really cool. Okay, Goliath, this is in verse 4, 2 to 4, somewhere in there. I can't remember. One of those verses. 1 Samuel 17, 2 through 4, somewhere in there. Goliath is called the champion of the Philistines. That was his title. They called him the champion of the Philistines. And it's this unique word that's used only once, and it's in this chapter. It's H, you guys can look it up, H 1143, okay, in the Strongs, if you want to look it up. H 1143, it's this Hebrew word that means champion. The definition means the man in the space between armies. Ha! Not kidding. Look it up. Space between two armies, or literally the man that stands in the space between two armies. He's the champion, the one that stands between the two armies. And I'm like, what? Later in the chapter, Goliath challenged Israel to do the same, to send out your champion. Remember that? And he's mocking and he's taunting and he wants someone to come out. Saul, who's tall, wouldn't go. Ha! So they sent the little kid in, bring me a champion. Here comes David. He's 12 or whatever. But what he's calling for is the champion. Bring me a man who will stand in the gap between the armies. David, of course, is a picture of Jesus. David is Jesus in the story. He's not us. We do not bring Goliath down. David does. Okay? We're the Israelite armies that was hiding in the luggage. Ha! That's us. Okay? It said that Israel was hiding among the stuff. Okay? That's us. What do? We shove our champion out there to take Goliath on. Jesus is the man that stands between the two armies. You know what I'm saying? The champion. Joshua, he's in the valley all by himself between Ai and Bethel and his army, between the house of God and the heap of ruin. He stands there by himself, no doubt praying and interceding just like our champion does. In Hebrews chapter 7, verse 25 says that consequently, he is able to save to the uttermost those who draw near to God through him, since he always lives to make intercession for them. Standing in the gap between what? The heap of ruin and the throne room. Jesus intercedes in the middle for us. It's beautiful. You guys. Is this not your favorite verse or what? Chapter 8. You thought Joshua couldn't get any better. Ha! Chapter 8. Okay, third thing, last one, last marker where the text pulls Joshua out by himself was what? Yes, but Joshua remained until it was finished. Doing what? Holding up the javelin. Hello, of wood. Does that remind you of anything? Anything like cross your mind? When you think of Joshua doing this with wood between his hands until it was finished? Yes! The cross. You guys, hello? Joshua did not draw back his hand until he had devoted the entire enemy to destruction. He did not drop his hands until the enemy was defeated. He stood there like this for however long it took until everything was finished. It is finished. You see, victory hinged on one man being steadfast. The man in the middle. The champion. Joshua held that javelin aloft until it was accomplished. He did not drop his hands. At Calvary, Christ stretched out his hands and did not withdraw. And at the end says, it is finished. All the way done. Since therefore the children share in flesh and blood, he himself likewise partook of the same things, that through death he might destroy the one who has the power of death. That is Satan, and deliver all those who through fear of death were subject to lifelong slavery. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 14 through 15. I'm going to read it one more time. Since therefore the children share in flesh and blood, he himself likewise partook of the same things, that through death he might destroy the one who has the power of death, that is, Satan, and deliver all those who through fear of death were subject to lifelong slavery. That's us. John chapter 12, verse 31 says that now will the ruler of this world be cast down. That's right, defeated. Where? At the cross. Ultimately at the resurrection, right? Where Christ defeated death. He did not come down from the cross, though he could have. He did not retreat from the cup of wrath, though he asked to be. Right? In the Garden of Gethsemane, Lord, let this cup of wrath pass from me. Nonetheless, not my will, but your will be done. And he stood in the gap for us that day. He remained until sin was judged, death was broken, and the enemy was stripped of all of its power. The enemy that took us down because there was sin in our camp. Joshua raised the weapon and sent Ai to ruin. Christ's outstretched hands crushed the serpent and secured eternal victory. The promise of Genesis 3:15 is Calvary. The seed will crush the serpent. That's right. 100%. By Deuteronomy 11:11. It's really easy to remember. Deuteronomy 11:11. Moses told Israel that the promised land that they would possess is a land of hills and valleys. Ha! That's true. Right? The Spirit-filled life, he says, listen, y'all, it is a land of hills and valleys. The Spirit-filled life is indeed that. The land of hills and valleys. There are high days and there are low days. There are hard days. There's good days. There's gold days and hay days. You know what I mean? Highs, lows. It is an adventure that is not void of failure. Why not? Why isn't the Spirit-filled life not void of failure, of pitfalls, of missteps? Why not? Because we are still being sanctified. You're not done yet till you're there, glorified. Until then, we are being sanctified, which means we're still learning. Hopefully, prayerfully, we are going from glory to greater glory, closer to the image of Christ, making less of those big mistakes. Joshua had a misstep in chapter 7. The Lord had to correct it and redeem it, right? Missteps happen. It's not heaven. It's a Spirit-filled life, and it's war, and it's hard, and we're going to make mistakes. It's hills and valleys. Moses is like, take that to the bank. Well, that's true. Because we are being sanctified. We have no clue what we're doing. We're still a work in progress, okay? There will be stuttering starts and missteps and mistakes for sure. AI was one of those moments. Yet because the Lord is gracious, so gracious, he turned the valley of Achor into a door of hope, Hosea says. That the valley of Achor was turned to a door of hope through the cross and the finished work of Jesus. Those valley of Achors do not have to stay that way. The Lord will redeem them 100%. So we stand on this side of Calvary. Unlike Israel, we are on this side of Calvary. Hallelujah. Ha! We're on this side of victory, right? Where Christ has already declared it is finished. We're on this side. The enemy is cast down. He's already defeated. Positionally, he's toast. He's done. The triumph sealed his fate forever. Yet, like Israel, we can still meet defeat in places like Ai. Not because God failed, but because we fail. We have flesh out days. And if you try to do Ai in your flesh, you will get defeated. Do Ai in the spirit, and it is an epic battle plan of huge proportions. Super sweet. Same place, same enemy. Our choice. If you have places of Ai, of heaps of ruin, Jesus makes beauty from ashes all the time. He's very good at it. Redeeming, it's like his job. He can do it.